Whenever I would say that I worked at Lululemon, every response, 99.9% of the time was, "Oh, you sell yoga pants." And there's such a misconception about it being just that. It is this beautiful grassroots organization that supports the growth of people and the development of every single person involved. And it supports not only the individuals working in the store, but the community that surrounds it. Everybody is inspiring each other by just wholeheartedly living their lives. The biggest misconception is that we just sell yoga pants. So much more than that.
Thank you. Good morning. Namaste, Wisdom 2.0. So Laurent, 2 years ago, you took over as CEO of Lululemon. Three years ago.
Yeah.
An iconic brand when it comes to athletic endeavor, but in particular with a very strong following when it comes to the yoga community.
For sure.
Over the years, right? Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I've always been very fortunate to work with brands that I've loved, both from a human standpoint and from a product standpoint. And this one, I always say it's the icing on the cake. It's the job that I've worked for my whole life. So I'm very fortunate.
Absolutely. And even dressed up for the part, just to be on stage with you. Top to bottom,
Thank you.
I'm in Lululemon.
Same here. Same here.
So given Lululemon's strong connection and correlation with yoga, we couldn't just be sitting here talking about yoga. We got to be practicing it. Do you agree?
Let's do this.
We got to make this crowd do yoga right here, right now, because there's no perfect time, or every moment is good for yoga.
Lead us.
All right. Everybody stand up. We're going to do yoga right now here. Okay. Can we have some music, please, and on the low volume? This is a show. Every moment is perfect for yoga. So spread your legs about hip width apart. Close your eyes for a minute. Open up your hands and chest. Take a nice, long, deep breath. Just check in with yourself. How do you feel this moment with your body? Take a nice, long, deep breath. Inhale. And long, slow exhale. Place your hands on your hips. You can open your eyes. Thumb touching at the back, and we'll do a little standing cobra pose. Uttita Bhujangasana. As you inhale, lean back, opening up your chest, feeling the expansiveness, and exhale and come back to the center. Bring your hands up. Press both palms. Grow an inch taller, and let's do a little triangle, Trikonasana. As you take a nice long inhale, and as you exhale, move to your left. We'll go to our right. Beautiful, well synchronized. Feeling the stretch on the right side. And exhale, come back to the center, and off to your right, my left. Beautiful, feeling the stretch on your left side. Come back to the center, interlock your fingers. We'll do a variation of Uttanasana. Turn palms up and lift your heels up, adding a balance element. Oops, some of you are tottering. I know who's been drinking last night. A body responds pretty quickly. And set your heels down. Drop your hands, and we'll finish off with Simhasana, roaring lion. And the way it works is you take a nice long deep breath, and then when you exhale, You thrust down into a crouch, open your mouth wide, eyes wide, stick out your tongue, let out a big roar, okay? Take a nice long deep inhale and exhale. Ah! Okay, you guys don't follow instructions. I didn't say whimpering lion, I said roaring lion. So can we hear a roaring lion, Simhasan? Take a nice long deep breath and ah! Beautiful. Now I didn't make up this pose. Let's get grounded, stand back, again with eyes closed in mountain pose. And we'll have the music stop. Part of yoga's fine union, and this is a very diverse audience. We have so many cultures, so many languages, but we can find a little union by harmonizing our voices. So that's what we'll end up with. When I cue you, I want you to take a nice long deep breath, and as you exhale, join me in uttering a single Sanskrit syllable, Om, together. And let's see what it feels like when our voices harmonize. So bring your palms in a folded palm gesture, common to Asian cultures. Express a gratitude towards someone or something in your life today. And then take a nice long deep breath, and optionally join me in a single Om chant. Let the silence sit there and see what it feels when 200 minds hold the space in silence. A few seconds. Thank you. Namaste. Have a seat, please.
Thank you, Gopi.
Thank you, Laurent. And with that, one of the things I think Lululemon has done as a brand in the corporate sector is really make a modality like this, in this case it's short yoga mindfulness practice, accessible to a lot of people, democratize it, and that is part of your vision. So tell us a little bit about that core underlying purpose of Lululemon as a brand.
Really, when you think about Lululemon, I mean, we're incredibly passionate about empowering people and giving them the tool to live their best life. And aside from the fact that we make an incredible product, that everything we do is rooted in functions, that we work with our 2,000 ambassadors to really solve problems for the athletes that they don't even know they have, it's only 50% of our success. I really do feel that the power of the brand and the effortless loyalty that we see with our guests around the world really comes from our decentralized leadership model. And what I mean by that is that with all of our people, I mean, we really believe in the law of attraction, and we work on personal development so much more than on functional training. And that decentralized leadership is really what allows us to, across 400 stores, to have 400 locally relevant businesses that are managed and run by the people running those stores. So as the CEO, it's actually an interesting dilemma, because the days of command and control, I think, are completely done. I mean, like, when you think about what millennials want, I mean, they have no interest in being told what to do. Trust me, I've got a 14-year-old daughter here in the audience, and she's probably Snapchatting right now. And in all seriousness, it's a struggle, right? You want to tell people what to do. And on the flip side, when you influence people and when you trust people that they're going to get it done, the ripple effect is exponential. And we live in that model every day, and we take it for granted. But I think it's almost one of our biggest gifts in terms of how we think about business. It's really empowering people, decentralizing leadership, sort of creating a vision, and then giving the tools for people to be their best self, for people to understand their purpose, their dharma, what they expect for freedom, what they most deeply desire. And when you do that, actually the work is really easy. I remember last year we're in the middle of Q4, and it's a really big quarter for us, and we're a publicly traded company, so it comes with all the sort of the short-term constraints of delivering on the results. And I was getting a little anxious about the business, and I started sort of reverting to not my best behavior and trying to tell people what to do. And our head of retail said, Laurent, like, you just can't do it all. You can't do it all yourself.
Yeah.
Just trust that we've got the best people and that they'll deliver. And it was the biggest relief, because when you actually have that trust, that respect, and you can let go, it actually happens. And alone, I could have never done it. And they actually did make it happen. So that decentralized leadership model it's a significant paradigm in how to think about business, and it's incredibly powerful.
So I'm curious as to how you do it. You're a very strong leader with a great track record, and you're just talking about letting go and even surrendering and trusting that your teams will know what to do and that they will come back with the right answer, the right results. But that's not easy for a strong leader. How do you let go? It's easy to talk about that in the mindfulness practice. How do you take that in the boardroom?
Well, I had to work on my influential skills like really, really hard.
What did you do?
No, I think it's interesting. I mean, in the early years as a CEO, every time I walked into a conference room, I felt that pressure that I needed to have like every answer.
Yeah.
Like I had to be the smartest one in the room. I had to have every answer, and it's exhausting. What I've realized over the years is that you can actually have a vision, you can have a point of view, and I think that what I've gotten really good at is actually asking the right question. And it creates so much more freedom for myself and for the people I work with to just think about like leading by asking the right questions, but not by providing the answers. And so when you think about people and what they want, I mean, they want autonomy, they want freedom, they want an environment that's entrepreneurial. And so by asking the question, you can actually mentor, coach, and lead, but in a with a very light touch.
Absolutely. And those of you who have your trigger ready on Twitter, I'll tell you that Laurent is great at some excellent sound bites. So is one sound bite on this topic that I wrote down was...
And I don't do Twitter. I mean, I leave that to others, actually.
But your sound bites are very good for Twitter. Laurent's quote is, you don't always need to have the right answer, always have the right question. And that leads me to another quote that I heard from you in the previous conversations you mentioned, which is, stay curious, listen, and be a global citizen, is one of the quotes that I've heard. Stay curious and listen. Which again, in the mindfulness realm, you hear all the teachers say, John Kabat-Zinn is very fond of saying, be curious as to what emerges. So talk to us a little bit about how you bring that curiosity element off the cushion and into the meeting room.
Trying to think about examples. I mean, I think it's, well, I mean, I would go back to the decentralized leadership model, right? So it's, we're building a global business for men's, women's, across a lot of categories. And when you're curious, actually, it's really hard to make a mistake. So if you think about our 12,000 employees, we've got the most, I mean, we call our people working in our stores our educators and our consumers our guests, so that you know what I'm referring to. But when we think about our ambassadors, the people that sort of lead the studios around the world, whether it's yoga, or spin, or meditation, or CrossFit, or surf, I mean, these people are like they are at the forefront of innovation in their own categories. Our educators live the lifestyle that we promote all day long. So when you're curious, actually you get all your answers. We've got like micro antennas all around the world, you know, and so in the context of globalization and what people want, I mean, I think everybody aspires to an active, mindful lifestyle. Yeah. That's a global phenomenon. It's not a trend. I mean, I think it's going to last for decades. It's true for men's and women's. It's true for millennials, but other generations as well. And it takes shape and form like in different ways around the world. So being curious for me is really sort of traveling, listening, and having all these antennas around the world, right? Not trying to have all the answers, but talking to our educators. I mean, I was on a board call last week, and the board asked, how do you think about how much better the product is getting? It's really, really hard to quantify. Sales go up, but it could be more guests. It could be guests buying more often. And the way I look at it is I look at how often our educators actually buy our product. Yeah. When they get the boxes delivered to the stores every week, if we have to tell them, like, please don't buy so much, we know we're doing something right, you know? And if they don't buy product for a few weeks, we got work to do. So that curiosity, I think being curious and asking questions is what's allowed me to surround myself at the management level, but throughout the entire organization with people that are just like tremendous. And it resonates with people because we have the lowest employee turnover right now at the store level since the brand was founded in 1998.
Fantastic, yeah. So you're in this very privileged position in that you have this entire community, grassroots level, your ambassadors, and your customer base that is already walking with a very positive attitude towards doing something about the mind, body, spirit. all these wisdom traditions are very known to them and accessible. But there are 100 times more people out there, at-risk populations, communities that are underserved. And I feel you have a responsibility as this iconic brand to also reach them. What are you doing to get to those people?
It's something that I'm really passionate about and that I learned earlier on when I was at Tom's, is that there is a real need. I mean, the right way to do things is that to do well so you can do good. And what I mean by that is that we're actually in a very fortunate position to have a highly profitable organization that actually allows us to not only think about our people and their personal development and how many times a week they sweat, but also how do we give back. And so I think that when you think about giving back, we're not going to solve the biggest problems in the world. I was speaking at CGI, and it's, you know, nutrition and health. I mean, those are like, people die, those are really big problems, and they're being addressed and they're being worked on. But what are we most passionate and what are we most committed to tackle, and what are we most resourced to do that? And I think it's really bringing athleticism and mindfulness to underserved communities. So we launched this program, Here to Be, which is really using the power of our educators and our ambassadors around the world to bring yoga, meditation, and athleticism to underserved community. And I'm really, really excited about the work that we've done, whether it's with the Africa Yoga Project or whether it's in New York and other parts of the world. So that really allows us to, you know, obviously have a thriving business where we have stores, but also support communities that maybe don't have access to the product or where we don't have a footprint quite yet. And that balance of doing well and doing good is something that, from an employee standpoint, I was amazed and really grateful for the engagement and the retention that it's created. It obviously creates brand strengths, which we need because we're not always going to do, I mean, we'll have hiccups just like everybody else. Absolutely. And that loyalty will serve us well then. And from a consumer standpoint, I mean, consumers are very, very intentional. We saw that this past Christmas season. I mean, the retail landscape is a disaster. And people are very intentional with what they buy, where they buy it, when they buy it. And they really want to attach themselves to brands that have purpose.
Absolutely.
And so the stronger that purpose, and we're at the beginning of building that program, the stronger the brand.
Totally. So we are almost out of time, so I want to close up with one final question. How many of you here wear Lululemon, have Lululemon? Wow, that's like 80% of the audience. Incredible.
Thank you.
So you have a...
How many guys?
How many guys?
Yeah.
Head to toe.
All right. Thank you.
So you have a pretty receptive audience here, and that is very tuned into the message that you talked about, doing good and still doing well as a business, and with the core message of Here to Be. So if you want to draw, and many of them are involved in lots of these kind of projects that bring these together, what would your message or ask be to this community out here, a lot of them listening on the live stream, where they can actually work with you in the cause of this greater good, this greater mission?
You know, there's so many ways of getting engaged. I mean, I think the power of what we've built is that when we go to communities, I mean, like, we never open a store in a community in year one. I mean, we actually open this little studio and we keep it open for like a few days a week, and that's really how we sort of build connection and those human connections that we're all craving. And so you've got ways of, you know, whether it's through our stores, whether it's through our social impact, whether it's through our ambassador program. I mean, our ambassadors are one of our sort of strongest asset in the organization with our educators. So I would say that, you know, through those three avenues, I mean, that's a really good way to get engaged. But at the end of the day, I mean, the best way to get engaged, I mean, in our 10-year vision, I mean, we want to touch the lives of 1 billion people, and it's really sort of finding your purpose and living at the intersection of athleticism and mindfulness. And as long as you do that, whether it's within Lululemon or outside, I mean, we'll touch the lives of 1 billion people. So I think that's ultimately what matters the most.
Absolutely, and that's a great cause to pursue. So those of you who want to actually ask Laurent a little more detailed questions, we are moving over to the Inspiration Village stage, and Laurent will be there for 30 minutes to answer your question directly. So please come and meet there. With that, thank you so much for this great conversation. Thank you for a great brand you've built. Thank you.
Thank you.